A St. Croix parent claims that a police officer pistol whipped his teenage son and kept him against his will and broke his cell phone. News Channel 8's Wes Small has this story.
Today we're here with Mr. Ventura, and he is not happy about an episode that happened some months ago involving his 15-year-old son and a police officer. He just came out of a meeting at Public Safety with some officials involving internal affairs and AG's office for some time now, and Mr. Ventura is not happy. Finally, he's decided to take it to News Channel 8 because he says that enough is enough. All right, Mr. Ventura, let's take us back to exactly how this whole thing started and when.
It started February 18th this year when my 15-year-old son was assaulted by a off-duty police officer. He was talking to a friend. Apparently this unidentified person came up in a truck, came out the truck, grabbed him through his neck and hit him, threw him on the ground, pull out his duty weapon, hitting my son, crushed his neck with it. My son fell. He took him gunpoint, put him in his truck, and took him to where the young lady house is. By the house, he hit him again and tell him to get away from his face. Give him a verbal threat. And since that night, we went to the station. We've been fighting this case, issuing and asking questions. We went to the Department of Justice. Internal Affairs done an investigation, got all the evidence, to proceed with a criminal case. Justice said they don't have enough evidence because the young lady changed her statement. You understand? His one was written, the young lady one was verbal. I don't understand why. It was destruction of property, which was my cell phone, was damaged.
Let's see the cell phone. You bought the cell phone with, and while you're doing that, I wanted to, if this case sounds similar, you might remember it was another previous case against a police officer, but he claims it's not that police officer, so it's a similar incident. It's very ironic that almost like a kidnapping type thing happened in the exact same thing, and your son was walking with a female acquaintance, a couple of years older than him, I believe, 17 or so, and you say she is the niece of this police officer.
Yes, she is.
So let's nail that down. Now let's take a look at the cell phone. Maybe you want to put the light on the cell phone there. Does it work?
Sometimes it works, sometimes. This is my business phone, which is one of the reasons that got me upset. It was a brand new phone. I got it like December. It's perfectly brand new. Now, since that incident that got broke is damaged, the situation is Detective Bradwood, I think his name is, Officer Colon from Internal Affairs, they have everything, evidence, everything to take this, took it to justice, and justice don't find a reason why to continue the case because they said the young lady changed her statement. It had police officers there that night as witnesses. You understand? I have understood that one is in Iraq, but the other one is here. He was a witness. What she said was exactly the same thing, what had happened. Now the story have changed. It's around since February. I think enough is enough. We have a lot of excellent police officers in the department. I know many. Since this incident happened, it's been terrible. My son has been in a trauma. I've been doing a lot of talking with him.
You had to move?
I had to move because sometimes he was in the yard, in the porch. He said cars approached driving slowly. He identified the officer vehicle. Every time he see a vehicle like that pass the vicinity, even if the car turn around, any car that turn around, he runs in the house. He's paranoid. I am paranoid. I am sick and tired of it. I was trying to explain, just a chance to explain this in the hearing this morning, but it seems like when they put me out, they didn't let me came back in. I went downstairs and I told them I wanted to speak to the deputy. They said he was not going to stop the hearing to listen to me, so I had to bring it here. We have to take it somewhere. We have a lot of police officers out there that are good guys. There are plenty out there that are good guys, but because of one rotten apple like this, you have a lot of kids out there cannot stand the v.i.p.d. You understand? It took me a lot of hours and nights sitting next to my son in bed and telling him that there are good officers out there. I work with plenty, and I know a lot of them, good friends. You understand? They are excellent police officers, but this is getting to a point that nobody want to trust the v.i.p.d. because stuff like this. People hearing it from here, they say, but when you come and live it yourself, it's a totally different story. And I would like to the Deputy Chief Benta, Department of Justice, please. look into the situation again, because it's terrible. It's really terrible.
All right. Mr. Ventura says enough is enough, and police brutality allegations against his son. All right. I'm Wes Small for News Channel 8.
And now, what you've all been waiting for is a new segment called Dumb Crook of the Week. And this week's honor belongs to Thomas Rouse. He's the manager of the McDonald's on St. Thomas near Lockhart School, and he's a Boston Celtics fan. What do the Celtics have to do with this story? Wait for it. Here's Lee Carl.
Well, people are saying that the story about a McDonald's employee accused of theft at the restaurant might be on the TV show The Dumbest Criminals. A content man appeared before the Superior Court Judge Alan Smith, advised of rights stemming from a pre-dawn burglary at McDonald's restaurant where he worked. Thomas Rouse, 32, arrested Monday, charged with third-degree burglary, breaking at the restaurant at Lockhart Gardens. Now, police said the burglary occurred between about 12:20 a.m. and 5:05 in the morning. Based on preliminary information from the detectives, apparently video obtained from the store's surveillance cameras did not show the faces of the burglars, but it showed the jacket they were wearing. And they had held their heads down. And apparently the restaurant's manager told police that when she arrived at work August 17, discovered that the alarm was not activated. Safe was open. Police interviewed the manager who worked the night and the burglary. She said Rouse was on duty, scheduled to get off work at 10 p.m. He offered to stay and assist in closing the restaurant. When Rouse and the manager were leaving the restaurant for the night, manager tried to set the alarm. Unable to do so, Rouse was apparently holding the front door slightly ajar to prevent her from setting the alarm. She was unaware of what Rouse was doing, and after several failed attempts setting the alarm, the manager simply locked the front door. Another worker who was interviewed told police same night he noticed Rouse leaving the outside freezer door open. Freezer door opens both inside and outside the restaurant. The man admonished Rouse several times. After leaving the door open, Rouse then took the keys from the office without authorization, unlocked the padlock. And Griffiths said that in reviewing, this is one of the detectives, the video footage from the surveillance tapes, police noted the burglary took about 20 seconds. They were in and they were out. And of course, the in and out means inside job and out fast. Not clear from testimony how many people were seen on the tape, but one thing was certain. One of the burglars was wearing a Celtics jacket, and that burglar was seen opening the freezer door, gaining access to the establishment, seen opening the safe, using the combination, taking the money from the safe. The Celtics jacket was similar to the one Rouse wore on 2 previous occasions. What could be the bottom line here? Don't wear Celtic jackets. Having listened to the testimony, the judge found probable cause of Rouse's arrest and subsequent charge allowed him to be released on a 10% of the $25,000 bail. But Rouse will have to be in court September 10th to be arraigned on the charge. And guess what? He won't be wearing a Celtics jacket. In St. Thomas, Lee Carl for News Channel